From smartphones in your pocket to electric cars to the satellites orbiting Earth, one tiny chip power it all. And today India is racing to become a global hub for these chips, semiconductors. But how did we get here? Who are the players? And more importantly, what does this mean for investors like you? Welcome to today's deep dive on India's semiconductor industry. Here we will explore its history, challenges, breakthroughs, and the listed companies riding this wave of opportunity. But before that, please like and subscribe to my channel, Semicon India. So let's start the deep dive. The semiconductor chip industry underpins virtually all modern electronics from smartphones and cars to defense system and AI servers. As India's government note, chips are fundamental to today's digital economy, powering devices across civilian and strategic sectors. Recognizing this, India launched the India Semiconductor Mission in 2021 with a 76,000 crore equivalent to 10 billion budget to build local fabrication, design and testing facilities. The urgency is driven by rising domestic demand. India's chip market was about $51 billion in 2024 and is projected to top 100 billion by 2030. While domestic production aims to grow from 9% to 20% of that by 2030, meeting even a portion of this demand locally could cut imports, create jobs, and make India a global player. In short, semiconductors are now a national priority and a huge investment opportunity as India tries not to miss the bus again in this strategic field. So India's semiconductor effort began decade ago but saw intermittent progress. In the late 1970s, the government approved the Semiconductor Complex Limited (SCL) in Mohali, Punjab. SCL, now Semiconductor Laboratory, started production in 1984 using 5-micron CMOS technology from the US. A new wafer fab was celebrated as a milestone, but growth stalled after a 1989 fire destroyed the plant. By the mid-1990s, SCL has recovered enough to supply chips for space and defense, but India still had no modern foundry. Meanwhile, Indian entrepreneurs turned to chip design. For example, Prabhakar Goel's Gateway Design Automation, Verilog technology, grew rapidly and was acquired by Cadence in 1989. By the 1990s, dozens of global chip firms, Intel, TI, ST Microelectronics, etc., opened R&D center in India, making India a top design hub even as manufacturing stayed abroad. Key early milestones: 1983, SCL opened India's first chip fabrication, 5 nanometer CMOS. 1989, major fire gutted the SCL fab, pausing production. Mid-1980s to 90, India chip design firm like Verilog GDA emerged. By 2000, India's host R&D for 17 of top 25 global chip companies. 2000s to 2010, India's reliance on import grew as fab advanced overseas. Low investment and fast changing tech mean India's fab ambition lagged. Even though India started early, as one analyst put it, it lacked follow through on funding and up to date technology. For decades, India was known for its software and design talent, not fabrication. This history set the stage for a renewed push in the 2020s, leveraging India's strength, design skill, market size, while overcoming past shortcomings. The current semiconductor boom in India is largely policy driven. In 2021, the cabinet approved the India Semiconductor Mission with 76,000 crore incentive to attract fab ATMP, assembly testing and design fabs. Since then, the ISM has approved 10 major projects, cumulative up to 1.6 lakh crore investment across 6 states. Highlight includes fab project in early 2024, Tata Electronics, a Tata Foxconn JV, won approval for 91,000 crore chip fab in Gujarat, 50,000 wafers per month production capacity. CG Power with Renesas got 7,600 crore for a fab in Gujarat. Vedanta Foxconn also announced a Rs 1.54 lakh crore multi-fab plant in Gujarat, 28 nanometer node. In mid-2025, four new projects were cleared, including India's first commercial silicon carbide SiC wafer fab by SiC SEM, Odisha, and 3D glass chip packaging plant in Odisha. These moves bring India into cutting-edge areas: SiC power chips, 3D glass packaging that serves EVs and defense, and IoT. Assembly testing, ATMP and OSAT projects. Micron Technology US is setting up a $3 billion ATMP plant in Sanand, Gujarat, amounting to 22,516 crore that is approved. Tata's 27,000 crore TSAT Tata Semiconductor Assembly and Test facility in Assam was approved for high volume packaging. Keynes Semicon and India's ESM player got 3,307 crore for a Sadanand OSAT line. And HCL Foxconn JV won 3,700 crore for a wafer plant near Jewar, UP. This aims to complete India's supply chain by adding packaging and testing capacity. In design and R&D, India has also funded design. The Design-Linked Incentives Scheme support local chip design startup. By 2025, 23 design projects were approved and 3 nanometer chip design center was inaugurated in Noida and Bengaluru. Hundreds of startups and labs are now tapping EDA tools through government programs. In July 2025, NetSremi, a design startup, raised 107 crore VC to make Vision IoT chips. Overall, the government report that 97% of the allocated 76,000 crore has already been committed to these projects. Underscoring how quickly India has mobilized funds, Prime Minister Modi announced at Semicon India 2025 that 5 chip plants are under construction and commercial chip production will begin this year. In short, ISM has catalyzed both foreign and domestic investment. Micron, Tata, Vedanta, etc., creating green shot across fab, packaging, and testing. Several Indian companies, both big conglomerates and small listed firms, are now positioned to profit from this ecosystem. For example, Tata Group has multiple irons in the fire. Tata Electronics with Taiwan's PSMC is building a 91,000 crore 28 nanometer fab, while its TSAT unit is setting up 27,000 crore chip packaging plant. Micron Technology US also set up a 22,516 crore memory package factory in Gujarat. Other big names include CG Power, Fab JB and HCL Technologies, with Foxconn for driver chip plant. But many publicly traded Indian firms stand out too. Analysts cites companies across the chain. Moschip and Sankhya Technologies, fabless chip designer focusing on IoT and power management chip. Keynes Technology, a listed EMS OSAT provider, now partnering with Infineon and Emerson to build in-country packaging test. Dixon Technologies and Sarma SGS, contract manufacturer of electronic devices, benefiting from local assembly. SPEL Semiconductor IC packaging specialist under government scheme. And Tata Elxsi or ASM Technologies, engineering services and embedded design firm tapping chip related work. State-owned Bharat Electronics Limited BEL, known for radars and defense electronics, is also a beneficiary of indigenous drivers for chips and sensors. Even Vedanta, a metal conglomerate, recently announced a joint venture with Foxconn to build a large 28 nanometer fab in Gujarat. In summary, India's semiconductor ecosystem now spans design, packaging, testing, and soon fabrication. Large caps like Bell, Vedanta, and Tata captures infrastructure scale plays, while mid and small caps like Moschip, Keynes, SPL, ASM, etc., capture the growth in design services, OSAT, and EMS. Many of these names have been recently operational milestones and have visible capacity plan under policy tailwinds. Despite the momentum, significant challenges persist. Building and running chip fabs require massive capital and technology. India's new fab are generally targeting mature nodes, example 28 nanometer to 40 nanometer, rather than bleeding edge 3 to 5 nanometer, because catching up on advanced node is extremely costly. The Tribune noted that staying competitive requires massive investment in R&D or risk falling behind. Global semiconductor manufacturing is dominated by incumbent TSMC, Samsung, etc., and supply chain onshoring is a challenge task given the many player and technology gaps. On the domestic side, developing skilled manpower is a bottleneck. While the government has launched training program, tens of thousands of students are in chip design course. India still needs more engineers trained in VLSI and semicon manufacturing. Infrastructure and regulatory timeline can also delay projects. Early ISM project requires several years to become operational, so short-term return for investors are limited. Nevertheless, India has two strong advantages: a huge domestic market and a vast talent pool. The CRN Asia report notes 20% of India's of 20% of world chip design engineers are in India, and global firms see India as a low-cost design hub. Government incentive, PLI and ISM improve economics and attract foreign partners. And unlike many markets, India's chip demand is growing rapidly. 5G, EVs, 4G towers, IoT devices, etc., which bodes well for the new capacities. Investors should be mindful that policy changes or global tech shift could alter the landscape. But with most ISM funds already allocated and multiple projects underway, the risk of government retreat seems low. In short, execution will be key. Companies that can deliver on design wins, factory builds, or packaging capacity stands to gain. But only time will tell which venture will succeed. Looking ahead, India's semiconductor sector shows robust growth potential. Official forecasts aim to more than double India's chip market by 2030. Already at Semicon India 2025, PM Modi proclaimed the country's first in-house chip could be made by end 2025. Global investors are taking note. Japan pledged 68 billion to partner with India on chip and AI. And major summits like Global Investor Summits 2025 highlighted chip fabs and R&D as priority. The India Semiconductor Mission complement this with smart incentives for investors. This means the project economics and improving. PLI subsidies up to 50% of project cost and grants for packaging line tilt return positive. Charting a portfolio, many analysts suggest a balanced approach. Pair large cap Bell Vedanta will fast growth small caps, Moschip, Keynes, SPL. These firms are largely logging higher revenue and tenders. For example, Moschip reported a 40% sales jump in financial year 25 due to design wins, while Keynes is building a new OSAT plant with global partners. Market participants also stress diversification. India's opportunity is multi-decadal, driven by demographic and policy. Beyond chip, allied industry, PCB maker, packaging material, EDA software could benefit. At the same time, not all semiconductor companies will succeed. Investors should watch execution and valuation carefully and be aware that these stocks can be volatile, especially smaller ones. Overall, the upside is compelling, with partners like Micron and Infineon in a place, a skilled worker and government backing. India is on the path to become a chip hub. As one industry note conclude, India's semiconductor sector now has green shoots to grow after years of groundwork. For long-term investors, this means that a well-chosen mix of established and emerging semiconductor plays could capture significant growth as the sector nurtures. In summary, India's semiconductor industry has evolved from early research effort (SCL) in the 1980s to full-blown national mission powered by policy and private initiative. Key milestones include the SM launch 2021 and the recent approval of multiple fabs and OSAT units. The sector faces challenges, high cost, technology gaps, and fierce global competition. But these are being addressed through foreign partnership and domestic skill building. Crucially, a diverse ecosystem of listed companies is emerging, from chip designer Moschip, Sankhya, to packaging firms Keynes, SPL, EMS players Dixon, Syrma, and defense primes Bell, Tejas. Many public companies stand to benefit from the chip boom. For investors, the story is one of long-term growth. India's demand for semiconductor is surging, and the government's capital infusion has laid a foundation for domestic production. As one recent report noted, with infrastructure and partnership now in place, India's semiconductor sector appears positioned for significant expansion. The key for investor will be patience and diversification, supporting the companies that supply and service India's chip factory now being built, as well as the innovative design firm next in line. In this way, both India's technological sovereignty and shareholder return may grow together in the years ahead. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more deep dive into India's financial and technological sector. And tell us in comment which Indian company do you like will be the biggest winner in semiconductor race. Thank you and Jai Hind.